the chilly weather, Dave. How about you?
Absolutely.
Well, you've got a few more months of it than I do.
Yep.
Well, let's get right to it. Hey, everyone. I am Jim Gast and of Splicing Consulting, and you are listening and watching No Law Firm Left Behind. Thanks for joining us for our third show of the year, Dave.
Hi. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me again.
No, Dave, I can't do this without you and Vinny. It's just not possible. And so today we are really excited to bring Bianca Moreiras. I think I just butchered that, Bianca, to the show. And hi, Bianca. How are you?
Hey guys, good to be here.
Hey, you too.
Well, we're really excited to have you here. And Bianca, for everyone that is watching and will be listening to the podcast, I always like to give an introduction, but I never am good as the person themselves at giving their own introduction. Okay. And so here's what I'm going to say. We all know you're from Fort Lauderdale. We all know you're a legal law firm consultant, amongst other things. We know you're a veteran. You've been doing it for a long time. You've got a lot of great experience in law firms. But, in your own words, tell everybody in our audience what you do and how you do it, and a little bit of your history, if you don't mind.
Okay, great. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm super stoked. This is, my topic as far as being in the law firm industry for over almost 4 decades now. I hate to say it. I know I look marvelous, so thank you.
Wow.
I live in South Florida. I've been here for 44 years. I'm sorry you guys are in the cold. I love what I do. I have been helping law firms achieve success in all areas of their business, pretty much. My experience is in operations, mergers and acquisitions, practice development. Right now, I'm really finding myself in the space of retention of employees. That's no surprise to you guys. You've been speaking about this for a bit. And I love cross-selling, marketing, succession planning, which nobody does. And I'm just passionate about energizing people to take their business to the next level. That's pretty much what I do.
That's some great stuff.
That's great. So, Bianca, obviously we're in a new environment than we were a couple years ago. COVID and the way it shut everything down and just the differences that it has made across many industries, legal included, can't be ignored. So you work with a lot of law firms, obviously, and you've seen what's happened over the last, 2 years. What's different now? What have you seen as the impact of COVID? Not just originally, but what are the lingering effects? What's happening right now, even with regards to things?
Well, that's a great question. Employee retention is a big concern. And I thought when COVID came that my business was just going to sit back. I checked my bank account. I said, you know what? I could manage for a while here without worrying. I have to tell you, 4 days into COVID, my phone did not stop ringing. And the biggest issue was, how are we going to manage our people? We still need to work. We're all in lockdown. How do we make sure the work gets done? How do we make sure the bills go out? All of those ideas and thought process for a regular running of a business. And I found myself, in a very changed world. I reinvented what I did, and I became a virtual HR conductor, I want to call it, because I was hired on by many firms all over on the Eastern Seaboard, and I would just make check-in calls to every one of them, making sure that they were okay, their family was okay, they had the tools they needed, which was the first scurry. Do you have the tools? Do you have the 2 screens you need?
Right.
Do you have, a good system, good Wi-Fi, etc.? And the dynamics of how we work, people forgot how to work. It was the most amazing, crazy thing I've ever seen. And, you all starting this program with cyber and protection and all of that kind of stuff and that concern wow, we were like hustling around. It was really crazy. And that became a big focal point. The firms that hired me found less trouble segueing back into the industry
So
because
did you go
I'm
ahead?
sorry,
Sorry.
when no one was watching the store, so to speak, we've seen the tumula of it going forward to today. Back offices backed up, ARs, billing didn't go out, assignments didn't get taken care of because the courts were closed down. It's almost like people forgot to put how to put on a tie. I mean, it was crazy stuff.
And so would you say that it's not so much that the practice areas of law really changed. Everybody is still kind of doing what they were doing before, but it's the mode of operation, the way that everything gets done that's changed more than the areas themselves? Or did you see upticks, downticks, things like that? Or was it just a forklift?
Well, I like that phrase, a forklift. Um, well, all of the above. The areas that were thriving immediately was wills, uh, estate planning, trust, contracts were being examined because there
Mhm.
was, who do we hire? Where do we hire them? What are we
Mhm.
watching for?
Mhm.
People started resigning just out of the blue. Oh, I'm of retirement age. I'm out of here, kind of thing. And then overall, various firms that had the seniors at that 70 mark, 67 to 70 mark,
Hmm.
closed down the firm. They were calling me and they were like, "We're closing down the firm." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And I
We've
did
seen
a
it.
lot of dissolutions of firms during this time. And unfortunately, they contacted me when they were ready to close instead of help me sell my practice, help
Right.
me succession out of here.
Just
There's a bunch
close.
of firms that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So obviously we've seen areas change, firms have changed, the way we do business has changed. We're in a whole different environment. Legal has not escaped this change that's gone over all of these industries. So with where you are now, where we are today in January of 2022, um, what do you see? What are the three things right now that continue to hold law firms and law practices back from growth?
Yeah. This is a key question.
Okay, number one, and it's going to sound like there's more than three, but it's really not. Employee retention. There's
Mm.
lack of a good job pool. That's number one. Number two, lack of processes, procedures, and training. That's been a problem for a long time, but no one was addressing it. And then
Mhm.
finally, sustainability and succession planning, because we were not ready for all of this. And I'll throw in there not being paperless. That
Ooh, Dave's a
has
real
been a
fan of
big
that one, aren't you, Dave?
problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think of the first one, and I think that there's some the employee in pool of people you can employ, right? The what we called last week on the show the stock, you know what I mean, the employment pool. I'm tongue tying today. That's not anything a law firm as an employer can do anything about. What's out there's out there, right? But the culture of the law firm internally for the people that they've got to keep them is all and completely in their control, right? And it goes along, in my opinion, with process and documentation with what you said, Bianca. If you don't document what are your corporate or your law firm goals, right? What's your core focus? What are your values? All these things are documentation, and you can't live up to them until you document them. Same as you can't follow a process until you have a process in place. You can tie that together in a way, and that can be something that's holding a law firm back, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't tell you how many law firms operate with missing parts, vision, mission, goals, budget.
Mm.
They operate that way 20 years. And then I'm called in and I'm going, so where you been going for 20 years?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
of myself as like a GPS. If you put in a bad address, you never get to your destination. Let me help you with the address. Let me help you get there and, figure out the shortest, safest, less expensive route to get there.
Yeah.
Let me
It's really hurting them when I
let me
think it's
throw
really
let me
hurting
throw
them.
something in that I've seen, and I want to get your feedback on this, Bianca. When you talk about that vision, when you talk about that direction, um, from what I've seen, there's kind of two channels that this goes down. One, you've got the overall firm's vision and direction, but then something that's really important to me as an attorney, and something that we do really good at the firm that I'm at, is we sit down and we talk about the vision and the direction of each one of the individuals that are part of that firm. Because I think that having that caring about what's important to the individual is as important as the direction of the firm as a whole. Do you see that as normal, or is that sort of an exception to the rule?
Well, okay. I'll take it in two parts, David. All of that is important. What is important to each individual, and then also what is important to the firm itself. Hopefully, those goals align with one
Mhm.
another, because if they don't, then we have a problem. So, where I see law firms falling short, other than those goals, visions, and mission, we tend to forget about that 80-20 rule. And we forget which is 80% of your clients are going to, 20% of your clients are going to give you 80% of your business. And we're
Right.
always seeking new business instead of taking care of that uh, group of people that have always been there, those clients. And then we forget about cross selling between the different practice areas, which is something I love to do. And exponentially, you will see growth in a firm and with the players, the partners, the junior partners, etc., to take the firm to places that they never thought was attainable. So that is, what I look at when I'm in a firm, and all of it is important. All of it.
Mhm. Mhm. So,
Awesome.
so if you can say there's a number of things that law firms are doing to hurt themselves and keeping themselves from growing, then on the other side, they're doing it, right? I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of law firms out there that have no plan. They just practice law and attract clients, and congratulations for being successful, right? Imagine how successful they could be if they had great plans. So if we say there's things they're doing to hurt themselves, what kind of things do you see law firms doing on the other hand that are really helping themselves?
Okay, so let's talk about adaptability,
Mm.
right? The most successful firms that I see have engaged with the way life is really going. So, for instance, I was just in a fairly large firm, and we made the decision to go hybrid, 2 days out of the office, 3 days in the office, everybody there. And that's made a huge impact. Now, and they love it. Of course, do they want more time? Absolutely. But that is working for them. Also, making sure that all the equipment works properly. There's nothing worse than a server, because that firm has decided not to go in the cloud. Why? I have no idea. But making sure equipment's working. I had a firm down because the AC went out in the computer room. Hello, what is that about? Yeah, with
Mhm,
cloud.
mhm.
So just little things like that. But having the synergy, and for me, the biggest offering that any law firm can give its people is education, from the receptionist all the way to the managing partner. when you give education, it's a gift. It says, I want you to grow. I want you to extend, your knowledge, not just sit in that same seat for the rest of your life without challenging yourself. And going back, if you give to your people, and I'm not talking just money, if you give to your people what their needs are, they will give you tenfold back, because they usually need the job. But we forget
Mhm.
about that. We just keep everybody working, work, put in your time. And we measure that goodness and grace that we get from our employees in the wrong measurement, with time and billing only. There's so much more to all of us.
Dave, you said it a minute ago, and I'm going to paraphrase what you said because I hear the same tone coming from Bianca. It's the big question as a law firm owner to ask your people, why are you here? Why are you here? What's your goal? What can I do to help you while you're here? And
Right.
so that's what they're doing at Buckingham, Dave, and I love that. And Bianca, what you're saying is that exact question. Why are you here at this law firm with me, and how can I help you reach your goals while you help me reach mine? Would you guys say that's a fair statement, a fair parallel to what you're saying, Bianca?
Absolutely. Everybody has a position, everybody has a destination they have to get to. And if we lift each other and we're more concerned and compassionate, because compassionate is just being present and letting people know that you exist. I have attorneys, they never even say good morning to the people in the office when they walk through. They're just from door to desk. So changing behaviors a little bit, mindset, bringing joy to the workplace. We forget to have fun. We're just working all the time. We're not having fun. We forget to smile. My favorite vision is now when I go into a law firm, the upper half of the attorneys are in a suit, tie, and shirt, and the bottom is shorts. I'm in Florida, remember, and boat shoes. So it's hilarious. And who's used to that culture? Not me. I'm in a party dress with nylons and everything, even though it's the summer. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what happened to that professional, demeanor? But I also see people being a little less serious than a couple of years ago, because we
Mm,
never know when it's going to be over, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, so Dave, I think we have time for one last question, and I
Sure. Yeah.
would you like to go ahead and just go with it?
So yeah, what I would say is, let's put a hypothetical out there. One of the problems that we see a lot are attorneys that get so bogged down in being an attorney. Okay. And so we've got the practice of law, we've got the business of law. And I know I've always tried to balance those two as an attorney. And as a consultant, I always was focusing on the business of law. And I think, Bianca, your focus is obviously on the business of law as well. So if, let's just say, you're at a firm, you've got yourself, maybe a couple attorneys, some staff or whatnot. What are the big things, all the different hats that you've got to wear? If you had to give a piece of advice or two or whatever, how do we quit? How does an attorney quit working in their business and start working on it? How do they extract themselves so that they can actually achieve that growth that you're an expert in helping them achieve?
Great question, David. Yeah, I use that phrase quite often when I walk in the door. So, you know, we need to sleep 8 hours a day. I'm going to start there. Attorneys are notorious for sleeping 4 hours, if that, a day, because they're either worried, concerned, or have something to do on their plate. And I love the energy of being in a law firm. People say, and please don't hurt me on this one, How have you put up with attorneys for 40 years? You know, they're the toughest group. But let me tell you, their intelligence, they're intuitive, they want to learn constantly. They're like, you know, full-time students their whole life. Remember, they're
Yeah.
still, you know, reading, writing, researching, etc. So taking that 8-hour day or at least 7-hour a day of sleep, you have about from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to do stuff, family, everything else has to fit into that. To keep your business going, you have to be in the forefront of your current clients and new business. Yes. So 1 hour a day, every day has to be set on marketing. And what do I mean by that? It could be something as simple as spending 30 minutes on LinkedIn or writing a short blog for the website. Breakfast is a great time. Have coffee 3 to 4 times a week with someone, a networking group that meets once a month, et cetera, et cetera. But 1 hour a day. Lunch, you got to eat. Go to lunch. Stop sitting at your desk. And just the way you make it to a court appearance on Zoom, hey, you could do the same thing. It's about putting your schedule together in a finite way. And what I always tell anyone that wants to grow and grow their business and have family life balance, keep your time of everything you do. I'm talking about even going to the bathroom for 2 weeks from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. You will find so many holes. You will find so much wasted time. You will find so many things that you're like, wait a minute, I just found an extra hour a day. And I can send that email blast to several of my clients. I can pick up the phone, which is the best thing you can do, and say, hey, I'm still here. How are you doing? I will add, my most successful firm, we did a phone blitz. We called every single client the first 3 months of COVID. That firm never lost a beat and they are flourishing. They had the best 2020 of their life because we cared.
Yep.
Because we were kind, because we were trusted. And that's what helped build a business. But you must market. Even if you are overwhelmed, you must continue to market. That is how your funnel stays full. And know where you're going, Dave. Know where you're going. Get that GPS just right.
Oh, that is so right. That's so good, Bianca. I got to tell you, intentional is the word I would use. Be intentional with your time, right?
Absolutely.
Don't let things happen by accident. Don't, if you're doing something and all of a sudden you say, hey, I got to buy a vacuum cleaner on Amazon. That's not the time to go buy a vacuum cleaner on Amazon, right? Now's the time to do what's important. And I forget who said it, but the main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing.
Yeah. And I
So,
like to say, Ernest Hemingway said, do not mistake motion for action.
ooh, I love that one. I never heard that one. So, well, Bianca, it has been great having you on the show, and we can't wait to have you on sometime again in the future. Are you good for that?
Thank you. It was an
Yeah.
honor.
Yep. You good to come back on the show sometime?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's exciting. We love that. So listen, we're going to go and end right here. If you're not a member of No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn group, please go join it. If you don't have time to write this down, LinkedIn doesn't give us pretty URLs to help us remember what the group names are, but just go to LinkedIn and Google, search No Law Firm Left Behind. If you're looking for our podcast, you can find it on Google by typing No Law Firm Left Behind podcast, and we're on any number of platforms. So Bianca, thanks a lot for joining us today. Dave, always a pleasure working with you.
Always.
So take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bianca.